when really all they had to do in the beginning was just say, hey, let's fix this problem with AMC and fees and stuff, and let's fix this problem that allows trainees, actual people working for appraisers who have been in the business for a long time, to go out and inspect on their own. If you're going to let a realtor or a Uber driver go do it, why can't a trainee do it?
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Today's program is sponsored by Alamode Software. Alamode is the software that I've been using, well, for over 2 decades to help me to be more efficient at appraisals. Check them out. Go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Sponsored, of course, by DataMaster. DataMaster is saving appraisers time, which is saving appraisers money. It's datamasterusa.com. Again, it's datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP is the insurance that I use for my E&O. You should be as well. Check them out by going to orep.org. That's spelled OREP.org. Welcome back to the program. Good friend of mine. It's been a while, man. Mark Skapinetz is on the line from Atlanta, Georgia. What's it worth appraisals? Positive adjustment show, 100% real estate appraisers. I could go on and on with his accolades, but to you and I, he's just Mark. Welcome back, Mark.
How's it going, my friend?
Man, it's good to see you, man. I wish it was in person though. We need to break bread together, my friend. It's been too long.
Yeah, it definitely got. I was hoping to make it up to your Nashville thing that you had, but then obviously, all this COVID and everything else gets in the way. My wife working as a teacher in school, they're constantly either shutting down or having to get tests. I think my wife might have the record for the most COVID tests I've heard so far. I think she's had about like 6 or 7 already.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be a teacher these days. Really, what grade does she teach?
Well, she does. She teaches. She's an esthetician. She teaches at like a wellness school, like massage and esthetician.
Oh yeah.
Care.
Okay.
So
she's got to be clean, man.
Yeah, she teaches more adults that apparently just can't, stay still and not go anywhere and catch this thing. So it's a little crazy.
Have you been able to avoid the stupid COVID thing?
Oh yeah. Luckily, she hasn't tested positive, and I don't really do anything but do my work and go play a lot of golf now.
I see that, man. I follow you on Facebook, and I tell you, it seems like every Sunday you're out on the course, even when it's 30 degrees. What are you thinking?
Dude, it's such a great getaway. I took it up and I met a good friend of mine. He's an ex-NFL player. We became really good friends, and he's really into golf. So we just started playing more and more. And the more I got into it, the more I just loved getting out, especially during this COVID thing, getting out of the office and being able to just be outside and still distance yourself and whatnot. It's a great way to get out. So, I kind of learned that it also helps with my mental clarity,
right?
Getting out at least one. I try to get out one day a week and take a day off of work, and then usually use the weekends for my wife or go play around in the morning and then spend the rest of the time with her. But it just varies a little bit, but I love it, man.
It's so important. I tell you, there's a lot of listeners right now thinking, who the hell's got time for golf? I mean, I don't know about you, Mark, but last March, so about a year ago, when this whole COVID thing started hitting, I didn't say much publicly, but I said a little bit. I really anticipated that we would see the market go down, that our volume would go down, that this would be kind of the thing that quote unquote pops the bubble. Not to say there's a bubble out there, but I really thought that we would see the exact opposite of what we saw last year. We hit over 1 million for the first time in forever at our business. And I've been in business 25 years, and it just keeps getting busier. What is going on?
It's insane. I thought the same thing when everything happened, but then of course we didn't factor in, government, getting involved and dropping rates down to flood the market with money and get things out there when everything was closing. So, we didn't anticipate that. And then of course we didn't anticipate, we thought things would slow down, but we didn't think that they would slow down this, we thought it would slow down even more, but now you're looking at it's crazy now that there's nothing on the market. Everybody's just been holding on to their homes.
Inventory.
Every that spring market that we usually get every year, gone, so that just kind of laid into this. And now just wow, I mean, you're doing a bunch of refis, you're going crazy, doing some purchases here and there. And now, more than ever, the purchases are just off the wall right now with the pricings and the multiple offers. And it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if this market can keep going the way it's going. I mean, something's going to have to give at some point.
Well, Mark, just yesterday I did an appraisal on a place that I kid you not, I had 42 sales for the MC sheet. Okay, the MC addendum. I had 0 active listings, and this is not unusual. There's nothing out there.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
It's crazy.
I mean, all over the place. I mean, there's certain areas here in the Atlanta market. You know, when you're in the city, you will have, you know, active listings in there. I mean, there's still building going on. There's still you know, a lot of people doing rehabs and putting them up on the market, getting them cheap and everything. So there's when you get into the city, it's a little different. When you get to the outskirts, like where I am, oh my God, there's just like nothing out there.
Right,
and then
right.
you're working with sales. You know, you're trying to find the most recent ones you can, and you're sitting there looking at your form and going, oh my God. I mean, May of last year, April of last year, August of last year. Oh, wow. Those are the 3 best ones I have. And there's nothing else that I can use to compare this house to.
Right.
You know,
right.
so now you're making these extreme time adjustments and you're just looking at your form with these big eyes going,
But justified.
Yeah.
I had another report yesterday. It may have been the same one. I had another report yesterday that across the board adjustments, and my newest sale was a month and a half old, and I'm still making a time adjustment because I think it's there. The stats are there.
It's there. I mean, you're seeing, I mean, within a day, you're seeing things change.
Yeah.
I mean, literally in a day's time, something comes on the market, sells like that, gets all these multiple offers, they're under contract, and you're looking at it going, wow, it wasn't there yesterday. Here it is now. And that's, holy crap, it's like 30 grand over what I just appraised the house in the area for, you know? So, you know, that, you know, there is, I will say this, I was talking to a buddy of mine. We play golf together, obviously. And he's a realtor. I've known him forever. We grew up in New Jersey, and we have, you know, I moved down here first and then he moved down, and we played golf the other day. And he had an appraisal done on his house, and for a refinance. Now he bought it for like 310 back like 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it's in a golf course community. It's really nice. It's a ranch home and everything. And he got his appraisal done, and it appraised for 310. And I'm
the same he bought it for 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, wait, this can't be right. This just can't be right. So, you know, we were kind of talking about it, and he showed me when we were playing golf, he showed me the appraisal, and I kid you not, there are appraisers out there that will use sales from May of last year, April and August, and they did not make any kind of adjustment for time or appreciation for this market. And basically on their MC form, I'm kidding you not, stable market.
Yeah.
Supply and demand was in balance, and it's under 3 months. And I'm sitting there going, somebody dropped the ball here. This is impossible in this market to have that in this area.
You know, what's funny about that, Mark, is I did make a couple of predictions back in March, and one of them has come true. One of the predictions that I made a year ago was the fact that this is the year for appraisers to shine. This is the year for appraisers to say, listen, you guys don't think that we're valuable to the process. You don't think that we bring value to what you do. This year, I think we have had an awesome opportunity, and it's sad that some have not taken advantage of it. But there is a difference between what a computer can do and what an appraiser can do if we will step up and do our job, which is reporting the market and not being afraid of whatever backlash we might get or not get for doing so.
I agree. I mean, if the data's there, the data's there, and you have to look. You really have to look for it. I mean, that's what I've been doing. I've been spending more time analyzing these different markets and submarkets. So I'm looking at my whole area. I'm looking at the zip code, looking at the town itself or whatever it is, and trying to find out, okay, what's the overall trend in this whole market? And then I break it down into that submarket. Then I break it down, into a value range, to see what's going on in these different subsections. I spend more time doing that now than I ever have before.
Yeah.
And it's actually making me a better appraiser. It's actually making me really look good in the eyes of my clients that I'm spending this time and not just clicking things and just magically putting something in there. Having things like Spark or Data Master, things like that help you as well. I look at those when I plug all my data in, and then I'll go and do my own digging and kind of compare them. And it's pretty darn accurate once you really dig into it. But it makes you look better. That you're actually, applying this stuff and explaining it and showing what's going on in this market, as opposed to just filling out the form and just clicking boxes, Yeah,
if you are still throwing in 3 comps, maybe an active or 2, if you can find them, and clicking a few boxes and turning this in, you are missing a big opportunity to really shine and to really show what your worth is.
Well, let me go back to that example of my buddy, when we were talking about it. So I came back home and I was looking at his market area. And of course, he's going to do a reconsideration of value on there. And he was asking my opinion on some things. And I went through and I just started plugging numbers and, looking at things, and I went and looked at I went into his whole just golf course community. Mm-hmm. And, because it's very distinct there. So I looked at every house from the lowest to the highest value in there, and looked at what that market was doing over the last 12 months, then over the last 6 months, and over the last 3 months. Then I broke it down to just homes that were, similar in age, style. His is a ranch home on a basement. Started looking at that data. And we really came up with some really good information that I gave to him to send in, say, hey, look, the market in this area has increased at like, 5% per month over the last 6 months, in right here for every home in that market.
Oh my!
I'm like, and that's insane. And then when I broke it down, I said, okay, now we're just looking at your house in this kind of value range and everything. We're looking at this data, and I was like, look, yours, based upon this, it's like 8.8%. Per month over the last like 6 to 8 months and everything. And that's good data to give to him to say, look, here you go, Mr. Appraiser. This is the data that you missed, and to use. And actually, once we did that, it was really cool to see the way the value shot up and became equal to other things. So I gave myself a pat on the back for that one.
Good for you. You're a good friend. Well, hopefully the appraiser does the right thing. And, just a shout out to the listeners. Again, this is an awesome opportunity for us to really step up and show the clients that we are valuable, that we are needed. And this is not just in a crazy market like we have today. It's ongoing. There's things that an appraiser can and should be doing that, frankly, a computer can't do. Zillow's okay, right? But it's never going to be an appraiser.
Zillow, the magic number company, that's what I call it. It's like, I look at Zillow and I think of, every time I hear Zillow, I think of Cousin Eddie and Clark, in Vegas Vacation, where they're sitting in front of that where they're at that really crappy casino, and Clark's trying to guess the number out of the guy's head, and he's like 14, and the guy's like, no, 5, and he's like, oh darn, it's like, you're never going to win with that, So that's how I think of Zillow.
All right, man. So I want to talk about the future of appraising for just a little bit. I know you keep tabs of what's going on. PAREA, the new, if you will, alternative path for certification. What's going on there, man? What are your thoughts?
I have mixed emotions about it. I think it could be a good thing.
Okay.
I also think it could be a bad thing.
Let's go on the good side first. Go on the good side first.
The good side is it's going to give the opportunity to give people to get into the profession. It opens up a new door. It opens up something that hasn't been there before, because the way we always look at it as appraisers, when we look at, getting into the profession, we look at it the way that we got into it, which was go take your classes, pass a test, get a trainee license, go find somebody to work for them for 2-3 years, if not more, whatever, get your hours, pass or fail the exam, whatever you do, however many times it took you to take the exam, and then you either go off on your own or you work for somebody. That's how we always have looked at it.
Sure.
And you can't take away that mentorship. That's just that has to stay no matter what. I think as far as like, gaining entry with the PAREA and getting college credits or things like that, as long as the right things are being taught in the beginning to give you an idea on what this profession is and how things are done, okay, that's fine. But I still think you need to go work for somebody and find a mentor and find somebody that's going to train you properly for a good period of time, or at least until they think you are absolutely 100% ready to go off on your own and perform the work, whatever it may be.
I think one of the struggles that new trainees, wannabe appraisers, if you will, have obviously is finding the mentor. But the reason they're having a hard time finding the mentors, I don't think most mentors, in my personal opinion, have the right mindset, because they are concerned about quote unquote training their competition. Which I've got 2 trainees right now, Mark, and I just don't even see that as a thing. First of all, I'm not worried about it if it happens. But second of all, make your business such that there's no reason for them to look over their shoulder for something else. In other words, why would they go out and become your competition if life is so good working for you? And I've just always taken the attitude that you make the business so good and pay them well for what they do and the benefits and everything that comes along with it, that having them be your competition just is never in the cards. Why do it if they're happy where they're at? I
agree with you to a certain extent here, because I don't think the main reason is that you're training your competition. I think that's kind of old school thinking, now is that you're going to train somebody, then they're going to go off on their own. I think a lot of appraisers are looking to expand their businesses, are looking to do things to, make their businesses better. But I also think many appraisers are so old school that they don't know how to train. They do something a certain way. We talk about this in other classes, we talk about it in a group and stuff, but I don't think a lot of appraisers have that background to train somebody, and maybe they're afraid to it. I admit it. I was very afraid to take on a trainee. I've been in the process. I've interviewed some people, to possibly take them on and move forward and get out of that scariness zone of taking on somebody and taking that responsibility. But I also think that it's also, a combination of the way things changed. Back before the crash, obviously there was no real AMC work. You were able to go out and solicit all your work. I know when I was a trainee, my mentors, they said, when you pass a mortgage shop or an office, you stop in there, and you get that work.
Take your resume.
You get that work, and you get that work for us. And if you bring it in, I'll pay you more if it comes from them. you know, so I had to hustle in order to do things that way. Well, then now after, you know, the crash and everything, there, you know, you're not really capable of doing that as much anymore. You can still get some direct clients and stuff, but with the advent of EMCs and the way that they pay and you know, how it's structured and whatnot, I think a lot of appraisers just don't see how it's going to benefit them. I don't think they have the mindset to really look past, you know, the low pay or how to get somebody to do other things. I think many appraisers are still stuck in the lender zone where that's all they know how to do.
Right.
So for me, since I've expanded into private work more, that's why I want to bring on a trainee, because I want to train them and I want to be able to give them that private work that I'm bringing in and let them go off and do that where they're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
As opposed, and so I can take on, you know, I can continue doing some more lender work. That's going to increase my volume. It's going to increase my money. It's going to make me better.
Well, and you really nailed it. You're more in that private zone, which I want to circle back to in just a little bit. The biggest problem that I see, and you inadvertently or advertently touched on it already, is this what we're allowed to do. In other words, you've got a bunch of people over here screaming, mostly clients screaming that we don't have enough appraisers. Now, I think that's foolish. There might be little pockets that there might be, you know, too few appraisers, if you will, but across the country, there are plenty of appraisers for the work that's out there. The bigger problem, in my opinion, and why people can't find mentors, frankly, Mark, I'll just be honest with you. I have 2 trainees right now. I would tomorrow take on a 3rd trainee. If the lenders, if the clients, if the AMCs would open up the doors and say, listen, when you feel this person is trained and prepared and can do this on their own, they can go out and do the inspection and then come back and help you do the write-up on the report, but you don't have to be tied to the hip with that individual. The problem is, let's just be honest, it's the financial incentive or lack thereof for these mentors to bring on trainees because they still have to go out. It saves them no time.
Yep, I agree. I kind of was hoping we were going to touch on this a little bit because I kind of wrote some things down about this.
Yeah, no, share.
You know, so it's like, you know, as you said, you know, with the, you know, a lot of people saying there's not a lot of appraisers out there. They're having a hard time. I'm a member of a lot of different groups and realtor groups, and you always see the post, hey, I can't find an appraiser. You know, my lender can't find an appraiser, blah, blah, blah. You know, to me, it's like, I think that everything is just being, they keep, within the profession, there's band-aids being put on top of an open wound. Okay, that open wound started back after the crash when they brought in the AMCs. They figured, well, this is going to solve the problem of certain, you know, of this fraud going on and all this, you know, the shenanigans between the lenders and appraisers. Let's put this firewall in between. Well, what they didn't anticipate was when they did that, they didn't anticipate a lot of appraisers just saying, look, I'm not going to work for this kind of money. It's not worth it for me. You know, so we did have a lot of people, a lot of appraisers leave, and they left the profession to go on and do other things. So with that in mind, once we started seeing that, oh, well, how can we fix and get more appraisers into this profession? Okay, let's create PAREA. Let's get an easier way for them to get into here and get in. Well, now they're having a hard time finding mentors to take them on because we're still dealing with that open wound of AMC pay and how things can be done. Well, add to that the AMC guidelines, because I know I've talked to a lot of direct lenders that said we'd be fine with having, you know, trainees go out there, you know. But now you have these guidelines that say, oh, you know, has to be a certified appraiser, has to be a licensed appraiser that goes out there. You can't send out a trainee to go out there. Okay, well, that prevents, like you said, mentors from taking on people because it doesn't make sense for them to spend a lot of time to try and train somebody and go out with them all the time. Well, okay, how are we going to fix that? Hybrids, yay, bifurcation. Let's allow Uber drivers and let's allow realtors and other people out there to go out and do inspections and send that data to an appraiser because that's going to fix the problem and make it quicker to get inspections done. When really all they had to do in the beginning was to say, hey, let's fix this problem with AMC and fees and stuff, and let's fix this problem that allows trainees, actual people working for appraisers who have been in the business for a long time, to go out and inspect on their own. If you're going to let a realtor or a Uber driver go do it, why can't a trainee do it? It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And it's a struggle. And honestly, you run into this a lot when you're dealing with regulations, when you're dealing with government subsidized entities. A lot of times the left doesn't understand what the right hand is doing, which is unfortunate. But nonetheless, speaking of GSEs, new forms. Well, I shouldn't use the term form. It's not an actual form. But I'm curious on your thoughts. You've obviously seen what Fannie Mae is doing. They say it may be out by the end of the year. I guess we'll see. What are your thoughts on the changes that are happening on the Fannie Mae forms? And again, I know you do a lot of private work, but let's talk lending work for a bit before we circle back to that.
I've actually seen it. And it was like last year, I believe, is when I saw it. So I don't know if things have changed on it or how they've developed it more. But when I saw it, obviously seeing something new, it was like, whoa, confusing. Okay, how does this work? But after talking to some other people and after listening to some people who are in the know about it, I actually think it's a welcome addition. Finally, I think it's going to it's going to help things. It's going to help speed things up. You don't have to worry. You're not going to have to worry about switching different forms. And the way we have things now, it's like, okay, copy and paste, what is it? You do =1 =2, you're not going to have to worry about doing a lot of that stuff because you keep getting these drop boxes. And I think it's just more inclusive. I think it's going to be a lot nicer. It's going to take, it's going to take time to learn. But I welcome it. I welcome something other than what we have. I think what we have is kind of archaic, especially with the way that other companies and other technology has come about. And advance things. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping it'll be as easy as they say. But again, I mean, it's the lender side. You're still going to need your forms and still need your software to do, private work and stuff. This is not going to be something that you're going to be able to use for, an estate job or a divorce or something. So you're still going to have to use the other stuff. And man, who knows? Maybe they create something else with it, or somebody else comes out with something that's easier. But I don't know. We'll have to just see. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think the sky's falling. I just think we'll see how it's run.
Well, I think you and I have a similar outlook on life. Change is not scary. It's just different. And I'm also a believer that change brings opportunity. And there's going to be a whole lot of opportunity for education and learning and growth. There are some concerns that, I would just put out there into the ether that, that I think we need to be vigilant of, in the sense that, I live and die by my commentary. I've been very, very successful over the years by, taking the Tim Anderson approach that you don't just do it, but you explain why you did it and you tell the story. And on the backside, the reader should have absolutely no idea. They may disagree with what you've done, right? But they should have no question about what you did and why you did it. Again, the opinions are that of the appraisers, but the reader of that report needs to understand why it is that they did. Good place to break and talk about our sponsors. Of course, a la mode sponsors this program from the very beginning, folks. A la mode has put a lot of faith in this program, and I put a lot of faith in their software because it is the best. It's the best. Check them out by going to alamode.com. Pick up the phone, call them at 800-ALA-MODE. Had a friend the other day call them who was on another software and asked the question that I've been encouraging you to ask for years. How can you change my life? What can your software do that mine can't? And it was a very interesting conversation. Let's just say they're switching. alamode.com or 800-ALA-MODE. Datamaster, of course, a great company out of Utah and servicing appraisers across the nation. Now, they're not in every single market, but they're in the big ones, folks. They're in a lot of them. Check them out. Go to the website, datamasterusa.com. Again, it's datamasterusa.com. Find out if they are in your area. And if they are, you need to be using them. Holy smokes. They're awesome. They'll save you time on every stinking report that you do. Datamasterusa.com, datamasterusa.com. Finally, we're sponsored by OREP Insurance. I'm in the process right now of renewing my E&O, and it's so stupidly easy. They make it easy and they make it cheap, and their coverage it's adorable. Check them out. Go to orep.org. That's OREP.org for more information. Let's go back to your story of the golf community, your friend, right? You've got a situation that on the surface you disagree with, right? And this has happened to me 100 times in reviews where I do a quick scan, I look at the report and I think, what the hell is this guy doing? And then you start to get into the commentary and you go, okay, this is starting to make sense. I may disagree, but is there going to be room on these new quote unquote forms for an adequate description? I don't know. I guess you have to be seen.
I have no idea. I've just seen kind of the way the grid and the way the drop boxes kind of work and all the different cells that they put in there. So it is going to be different, obviously, but it's going to be, I think it's just going to make it easier. I mean, hopefully not too easy. Hopefully it's easy enough to use, but hopefully you still have to put in the work, to do it. Yeah.
All right, my friend. Now, so I want to talk about we talked a little bit about some of the things that you're doing. Your business there, of course, is What's It Worth Appraisal. I know that you have really focused a lot there in Atlanta on private work. That is something that's very intriguing to a lot of listeners because let's face it, 80+% of appraisers out there, at least 80+% of my listeners, at least based on feedback that I get, are solely or at least mostly focused on lender/AMC work. On the other hand, most of them, if you ask them in private conversation, would say, I want to do more private work. So you're the genius, my friend. Talk to us. How do you get there?
I wouldn't say I'm a genius yet, but I mean, it's pure effort. I mean, you got to put in the effort and you got to put in the time. And I know a lot of people say they don't have the time, but I've talked with other people, Blaine Fayen and other people out there. When things get busy and things get crazy like this, that's the time to actually take the time take a couple hours to put in that effort, to develop that private side, because there's so much craziness going on that people are going to be looking for appraisers. You just never know where you're going to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I had to revamp my whole thinking, and I was always just doing lender work, and I had to try and figure out new ways to do things. Well, one of the things that I did was, and this is a tip to Blaine Fayen that we know so well.
Yeah.
He did a podcast. It was about building a referral system. I really listened to that and really took that to heart, and was like, wow, this is something I've never heard of. I've always just been used to just putting my little posts out there in different groups and stuff. Hey, I can help you out. Hey, call me. I'm an appraiser in the area, blah, 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 great. So I had to revamp my thinking, and I had to start thinking about how can I develop this work, and how can I get it? Well, okay, I don't sell my service anymore. I don't sell that I do appraisals. I mentioned that I do appraisals, but when I put posts out there to people, I say, hey, how can I help you? I'm an appraiser in the area. If you need anything, we do work for all different types of scenarios. But even if you just need to call and pick my brain, feel free to call me. Just let me, give me a call, give me an email. I'll try and answer your question as best I possibly can. Instead of saying, hey, we are the best real estate appraisal company in the Atlanta metro area, we can do appraisals for you. Well, of course, they know that's what I do. Well, what else can I do for them? So once I changed my thinking and got into this more of service, like more of like, hey, how can I help you?
Love it.
People started calling, people started emailing, and I started answering their questions. And then over time, you get that, hey, I need a pre-listing, done. Or, hey, I've got a question about a basement. Then you wrote a great blog about it, on your site. But, I got a question about it. And then next thing you know, hey, they call you up later on. Hey, I got a job I need you to do. We're kind of confused on this. And it just snowballed from there, because I started with one realtor. I have almost 30 different realtors now that refer work to me. Yep. Or that, and then they just refer it to another person or another person in their office. On top of that, I spend a lot of time on, in my area, like on the Nextdoor app or in Facebook, Facebook groups, other groups, not just appraiser groups. I'm talking like realtor groups or real estate connection groups. I recently got on that new platform Clubhouse, where I can listen into conversations and introduce myself. And, yesterday it was a couple of days ago, I introduced myself on a realtor podcast as an appraiser in Atlanta. Immediately, I've got like 6 questions asked of me right then and there. And then I've got emails, and I got people following my Instagram now, realtors in the area. It takes time, but you really just got to put into work and think outside the box. And where can you find that? And for me, it was more so, instead of trying to find direct lenders to work for, I don't want lending work. I want something else. I went towards realtors. I went towards just homeowners. I went towards investors. And I keep up with my posts. I try to answer questions as best I can, when people, contact me, or if I'm in a group, and just show that, hey, I'm here to help you. And it just comes back, it comes back tenfold over time. So it's really, like I said, it started with one realtor. That realtor referred me to another realtor. I did a good job for them. They referred me to another person. That person referred me to an investor who said, hey, we got a lot of work for you to do, and then obviously you play golf. I met some people on the golf course. I've had clients take me out to play golf and talk about things and do potential work with them. It's just taking the time to do it. It takes work, it takes dedication, but you've really got to think of not selling yourself as the best in the world and the best appraiser in the area. You need to sell yourself as, hey, what kind of value can I add to you? And once you add that value to them, they love it. They eat it up. And then you want to add value, you would like to add value to them. They want to add value to you. I always ask, hey, how can I refer you? How would you like to be referred, to other people out there if they're looking for a realtor? Give me something to go by here, so that I can, refer them to other people, instead of just saying, yeah, here's a name and number. I'd like to have a little bio, something a little bit behind that to help them as well. And it works, because once I've referred probably 5 or 6 jobs already in the last 6 months to 3 different realtors, and they've gotten them, and they come back to me and say, thank you, Mark, appreciate it. And it's just that relationship building.
What I hear you say is the old Jim Rohn idea of you find what people want and you give it to them. And you don't worry about the money. You don't worry about the payback. You don't worry about where this might lead or the karma. You simply provide value for people. Look at what they need. Look at their desires. Be a friend, be a mentor, be an educator, get yourself out there, show them that you're willing to serve and create value for them. And it will come back to you eventually, especially if you don't do it for that reason.
Yeah. And then you also, I'm probably gonna get some flack from this. I'm just waiting for our good old buddy out there to give me some flack on this too. But,
Mark, before you say anything, just seek the truth. Make sure this is.
Yeah, I know. I also developed something different that a lot of people don't do, and I would highly suggest this of appraisers that are looking to do private work, and that is to develop different products to offer people. Stop sticking with the, I'm only going to leave the house for $450 crap.
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you this. I've done free appraisals for people because they need it. I have done appraisals for $100. I've done them for $200. I've done them for $500. I've done them for $1,000. Okay. But I also offer different products. Okay. When I'm talking to these people, if they're just looking for a market value in the area and I'm working with a ranch home, just a box, and I know that the tax records are pretty much accurate, you know, and they're just looking, hey, we just want to get an idea. Well, I'm not gonna make them pay for a full appraisal. I say, here, a full appraisal is this much, but I also can do this for you. I can do a desktop for you as well.
You
And
said
that's
the
how
naughty
much
word. You said the D word.
I know. And that's where I'm going to get the flack for. That's how much this costs. Okay. Then I can just do this for you as well. You know, and I give them options to choose from. And then based upon those options, we talk a little bit more of what's entailed and what they need. And if it turns out that they need something, if they do need desperately to have a full interior, oh, I'm going to tell them that, hey, you need that. But I would rather sit at my desk and make $300 for a desktop than having to go drive 4 hours out of my day to go do one private job for $450, $500, come all the way back when probably don't need that. You know, so that goes a long way as well. When I deal with my private, I offer them options, and let me tell you something. 90% of the time, they take the full one anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We sometimes have a hard time talking them out of it, which is silly because it's not needed sometimes. But nonetheless, they are the client, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned Blaine Fine earlier, a good friend of both of ours. You two have been doing a show called the Positive Adjustment Show. Talk to us about that. What's the end game there? What are you doing?
Dude, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary on Sunday from the first show that we've ever did. It was actually quite funny because I sent Blaine a happy anniversary note, you know, for our 1-year show. And man, you watch that show? We actually, because we recorded it and put it on YouTube, and now we just put them on our Facebook group. You watch that show to what we do now?
Yeah.
Night and day, my friend, night and day. But so we started this show, you know, a year ago, and it was basically to bring appraisers into this group to, you know, we named it Positive Adjustments for a reason. Everything's going to, we're trying to be positive in this group. We're trying to help people. We're trying to share ideas, you know, get people to go in the right direction. If they have questions or they need, you know, they need things answered, we'll try and do our best to answer those. We bring people on the show to actually present and talk about different issues and different topics that they know better than most other people, so that we're more aware of what's going on. But again, it's not to beat down things. It's to keep everybody positive and keep them like in a good direction. And we call it the Positive Adjustments Happy Hour Show because we do it every Friday at 4 o'clock, or I'm sorry, it's every other Friday now at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And we have a good following of people in this group, and the group keeps growing. And we, you know, it's a good end of the week alternative to just all the crappiness that goes on out there. And you get to either be on Zoom with us, or you can be in the Facebook group in the chat box as we broadcast it and ask questions, learn some things. It was something we just felt that we needed to bring to people out there because there's just so much negativity.
Yeah.
You know, so
there
much.
There is, and it's sad. You know, we live in an awesome age. We have, and sure, I'm biased, right? I don't have everything else to compare it to, but my hell, we have an awesome career and an industry that we work in. What a great place to work. And there's too much negativity out there, truly.
Yeah, I'll probably get a lot of flack for that too, because, you know, for, I don't know how many years I was Mr. Negative.
Right.
But you know, since I've changed my ways, since I've done a lot of things and have grown up and got myself on the straight and narrow. So, you know, it's just nice to have that group. We get a lot of appraisers in there. We get some realtors in there. We get some other people that just, you know, pop in and out. But they just want to learn more. They want to, you know, deal with good topics and get a good start to their weekend. You know, and just be happy, you know, instead of just dealing with constant negative crap.
I love it, my friend. So 100% real estate appraisers. If some of my listeners have been living under a rock, tell us what that is. And you just kind of celebrated a milestone there as well, right?
Yeah, we have over 3,200 members there now.
That's awesome.
I know, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy to think when it started back in 2014 to now. It's so crazy how we've grown. And here's the best part. Best part is it's all independent appraisers.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part to me, that when I think about this group today, that there's 3,200 independent appraisers in there. Can you imagine if all 3,200 appraisers in there actually got on the same page or behind an idea? Mm-hmm. What could possibly happen?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing bad can happen. I mean, it can be all good if you get that many, but you have a hard time getting 10 people to agree on something. But anyhow, so the group is basically for independent appraisers. I know there's other groups out there that allow appraisers that are, staff appraisers for AMCs and whatnot out there, but we just cater to the independent appraiser to give them a place to come in, ask questions, learn things, speak their mind, share pictures of pickles or dogs or whatever.
What's up with the pickles, man? Come on.
The pickle thing is just my thing. I started that a while back, and it kind of just carried on, and now it's like the official mascot of the group. I mean, I'm in love. I love dill pickles of any variety, really. Except for Vlasic. Vlasic is not my favorite anymore. But so that group is just, we have all these members that come in there and just, share their ideas. If you have a question or you have an issue with an appraisal or a question about an AMC or payment issues or whatever it may be, you have so many different appraisers from across the country. We have some in Canada in there. I think we have 1 or 2 from Puerto Rico that are in the group. And we talk, we share things. And the group has gone more and more of a positive direction now where we're trying to share and help other than bitch and complain.
Yeah. Last year, I saw a huge need, going back to the trainee thing. There's a lot of individuals that need a little assistance and help and education on how to become an appraiser, how to find a mentor. So I created, I think it's a 10 course or 10 session course that is directed at trainees that allow them to be able to find a mentor to get on the right path and to do it correctly. And we've just seen a huge need for that. And I know recently you've created a new group. Tell us a little bit about the trainee group.
Yeah, and this goes back to when we were talking about trainees. This is, when we're talking about how they won't let trainees do anything, or they're, it's hard to get in and whatnot, or there's not that many appraisers. So I started because my group is for independent appraisers, I didn't want to flood it with people that are looking to become an appraiser or a trainee that doesn't have a mentor yet. I kind of wanted to keep the main group intact to just actual licensed or certified appraisers in that group. So because I was getting, 10 requests a day from people outside saying, hey, I want to join this group because I'm looking to become an appraiser, or I'm a trainee right now, or I'm taking my classes, I decided to create the 100% real estate appraisers trainee group. Go figure. I mean, it just made sense. And I think we're up to over 200 plus people in there now. And that's a mixture. I think I allowed about 50 to 55 actual appraisers in there to help answer questions. And then the rest are just people looking to get into the profession or have their trainee license or are taking classes. And that speaks volumes that there's that many people that are wanting to get into this profession, but then we have all these crazy barriers and things that won't allow them to do things,
right?
And that's preventing them from finding mentors, and that to me is something that I think a solution has to be found amongst the GSEs, amongst the AMCs, and we know AMCs are just going to keep doing their own thing because that's just what they do. But I think more attention needs to be paid to how many people are trying to get into this profession and what's preventing them from advancing further than just taking their classes. And if we can solve that and solve this fee issue or solve this inspection issue, solve these issues first and make it easier or make it worthwhile, well, we'll probably flood the market. We'll probably flood this profession with a lot more people that want to get in and want to do things
and are good and bring value to the marketplace.
Well, and they're coming to these groups, to learn, and we have a lot of good appraisers in this trainee group that are explaining things to people when they're asking these questions. How do I find a mentor? How do I do? We have good appraisers explaining to them, giving them good information on how to go about it or where to go or what to do. And I'd love to get you in there and have you post your course or whatever, for these people so that they can kind of even, learn even more of what's going on. It's just this barrier and all the constant, how should I say, the false narrative that there's not that many, the appraiser profession is dying. Well, it's not dying. It's just that there's so many issues trying to get more people into it because we've created more issues than solutions.
Mark Skapinetz, always creating value for real estate appraisers all over the place. A good friend. Thank you for joining me today, Mark. This has been enjoyable, entertaining, educational, valuable. We need to do it again soon.
Yeah, we definitely got to do this more often. Hopefully this whole COVID thing starts to settle down and keeps going down so we can get back to getting out to some conferences. I can get back out to Vegas and do some gambling and meet you out there and do some things. It's crazy not being able to see people right now.
Yeah, I'll buy you a steak dinner. Let's do it.
Sounds good, my friend.
All right, friend. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.